What does a pharmacist do? Well, most people might answer that a pharmacist dispenses the medications that my doctor prescribes. Now, I work with a ton of great pharmacists, and one thing that I don't generally see is excitement about pills in a vial. And this is probably because pharmacists have been trained to do so much more. So what can you get excited about in your community? To find out, let's go beyond the scripts. Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Scripts. I'm your host, Will Tuft with Pioneer RX, and today we have a special guest joining us from out on the right-hand coast over there, Cynthia Feldman, joining us from Sweetgrass Pharmacy. Thanks so much for joining.
Thanks for having me, Will.
So tell me a little bit about Sweetgrass Pharmacy and where you're located out there in South Carolina.
Yeah, so we are in Charleston County. So we're just a little suburb north of Charleston, kind of right on the beach. So we have lots of tourists and we are a very, very, very big growing town. So we have lots of people relocating here for our beautiful beaches and for our nice weather.
Yeah, I made it out that way a couple times over the years as an installer for Pioneer RX. So I got to travel quite a bit. And I was just amazed when I made it over to the coastline in that part of the country because it's so pretty, the emerald water, and it's kind of like a big secret. We just don't talk about how amazing it is out there enough.
Yeah, well, we say here that we don't talk about it because we're full and we don't want anybody else coming here. So we'll keep it a secret how nice it is. And in addition to the beautiful weather, we have an amazing food scene. So don't come here if you're trying to diet.
Yeah, because you're not far from like Charleston and that area, right?
Yeah, so we're actually in Charleston County. We're just a suburb of the city of Charleston.
Nice. Okay, well, cool. So you actually have two locations out there, though, right? You have the original location that's there at Seaside Farms Shopping Center. And then in 2021, probably the time when most pharmacies are thinking about opening a new pharmacy, a second location. Right in the midst of COVID, you went ahead and opened up another location out in Carolina Park.
Yes, absolutely. So we're very blessed. We own both of our buildings. And so it wasn't necessarily a plan to open during COVID, but we had already purchased the land and started the construction. And then construction was obviously delayed because of COVID. But we opened up right in the middle of COVID. Our first day at our Carolina Park location, we did 150 COVID vaccines. So we were like, let's celebrate by opening by just vaccinating anybody who wants to roll in. So it was a fun event, obviously, to kind of celebrate the opening, not only of the pharmacy, but it's a beautiful building that we have here in a newly developed area that a lot of people weren't building in yet. So,
yeah. So one of the things I remember as part of the installation team is traveling to pharmacies that are just opening and a completely day one opening pharmacy where, you have all of the expense of a business, forming, and then, your opening order and all of those stressors and, that first day of flipping the open sign on the door. And, it's interesting to see how the patients would come in and how over the first week they start building those relationships. But I guess you really had that jump start there with COVID. So that's kind of an interesting way to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I already owned a pharmacy in the town of Mount Pleasant, so this is my second location in Mount Pleasant, it did make it a little bit easier. People already kind of had some name recognition of what Sweetgrass was and what how we took care of our patients and what we stood for. Nice.
So on Google Maps, if you look at that new location, it's still just treetops in that whole area. And you can see there's like a label for a public supermarket and all these different things, but it's just treetops on Google Maps still. So I guess that entire area is kind of undergoing a lot of changes right now.
Yeah, so much growth. We're right near our high school. Our what we have two high schools in Mount Pleasant. We're right near our largest high school, which has over 5,000 students. So if you think about how Mount Pleasant's growing, if you just think about a high school with 5,000 kids, that kind of gives you an indication of where the growth in Charleston County and where the growth in Mount Pleasant is. And so that's where we strategically put our new location.
Nice. So I think that's probably one of the interesting divisions that I see with so many of the pharmacists I talk to and the guests we have on here are kind of, once you open that first pharmacy and your business starts to grow, we see people who are really passionate get drawn into different directions, and some owners can't wait to open a second store. We see some owners who are kind of drawn more to the advocacy side or to the consulting side, the business growth side, and start to actually kind of get pulled out of their pharmacy and more into those other roles, and sometimes even move on past pharmacy ownership and into other endeavors. So you decided to open a second location. So tell me a little bit about that kind of business mindset that drove that second location.
Oh, sure. Well, I always knew I was going to be in the business side of pharmacy. I didn't know exactly where I was going to fit in. But while I was in pharmacy school, I went to pharmacy school during the day. And then I went to the Military College of South Carolina at night and I got an MBA. So I just did tons of school. Like evidently I was just a glutton for punishment while at the same time having children. So I don't know what I was thinking or how I maintained that. But I've always been interested in the financial part of it. So, went into the hospital side of pharmacy and was a director of pharmacy, thinking that's where I wanted to apply my business acumen of pharmacy. But then realized that I didn't really, maybe I'm not so good at working for other people and I should work for myself. So I like looking at pharmacy from a business side, and the side of growth is what fascinates me about medicine and about healthcare in general. I used to say I wanted 6 pharmacies. I no longer want 6. I'm good right here. But what I love and enjoy the most is what's the next best thing in pharmacy, and learning and collaborating with other pharmacy owners to say, hey, what are you doing right now that works for you, and how can I apply that to my business? Compounding's always been my absolute passion, and where I really wanted to focus Sweetgrass Pharmacy initially. And so that's what we continue to grow, especially at our new location. So we're sterile and non-sterile compounding. We're 100% 800 compliant. We're PCAB accredited. We also just underwent a strenuous NABP VPP inspection for that accreditation. So we want to be the best of the best on the financial side, but also on the patient safety side, and making sure that we have accreditation companies overseeing what we're doing to make sure that we're doing everything exactly right.
Nice. So was that kind of the driving force for the second location, was the sterile compounding?
Yes, it
Gotcha.
absolutely was. There's just not a lot of what I would consider like retail sterile compounding. So if you think about sterile compounding, most people would say it's in a hospital, or it's in home infusion, or that's pretty much it. Like, or it's in a manufacturing. But there is some needs out there for patients in a more of a retail ambulatory setting for the needs of sterile compounding.
Very cool. So the original location back in 2014, what changed or what stayed the same? If you could tell yourself when you opened the second location everything you knew when you opened the first location, what would you tell yourself?
Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. Oh my God, the hours and hours of agony that I would have over the smallest things that I would lose sleep over, that would bother me, or that I would spend time on, that really at the end of the day didn't matter. So it's learning to let some things go. And the second location is almost 4 times the size of my first location.
Oh, wow.
And it was easier to open because 1, I already knew what I was doing, like I'd done it before. And 2, I didn't sweat the small stuff. If a sink wasn't working in one of the spare bathrooms, I wasn't sweating it. I was like, oh, we'll get it fixed later, right? Or, if one register didn't work that exact moment, that's okay. We have another one. It's all right. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it can be really hard to, not sweat small things because you want to, fix what you can always. And there's always so much going on in pharmacy that you really don't have control over. So sometimes it's almost easy to fixate on what you feel like you should be able to fix.
Absolutely. I had a mentor one time that she worked in she was a pharmacist and owned pharmacies, but in a different sector. She did home infusion. And she told me, she said, the world's going to conspire to make you successful. You just have to let it. And I've always kind of lived by that. Like, it's going to be okay. I'm going to be successful. I just have to leave those doors open for success to come to me.
Yeah, that's a very optimistic mindset. And I like that because I find myself being pretty optimistic about people and opportunities, and yeah, it'll work out. But you can definitely see how that really allows you to, I don't know, kind of influence any situation just through your mindset.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about a day in the pharmacy. What are you doing at Sweetgrass at either location that you think makes your pharmacy stand out, or kind of signature elements?
Sure. I what I really want for Sweetgrass Pharmacy for both locations is to be the health center, the health hub for everybody, right? So I'm really not focused on just geriatrics, and I'm not really focused just on pediatrics. I'm not just focused on antibiotics. I'm not just focused on compounding. We do a little bit of everything. So everything from long-term care, assisted living, group homes, independent living, to regular retail, to immigration vaccine clinics that we run here for people that are need all their vaccines for their immigration requirements, to our compounding, sterile and non-sterile. So being able to layer all of those things on top of one another allows patients to be able to come to either one of my pharmacies and get everything that they need, right? Whether it's a consult, whether it's a vaccine, whether it's a sterile injectable, sterile eye drop, or an amoxicillin, right? So just kind of being a resource for that. And that, I find that being able to do it all really allows for deeper relationships with my patients. So if I can help you like 360 with your medications, then I can develop a better relationship with you.
Nice. Yeah. And that extends to the front end as well. You guys have the great kind of traditional gift areas up front, and the retail pharmacies that, I think is really cool in small towns, especially where you do have that, something more than just medications. The kind of disarming, warm front end is really nice. The mud pie gifts and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I love is when my favorite thing is to see a patient come in, let's say a lady my age, and she's picking up compliance packaging for both of her parents. She's picking up her hormone replacement, and she's picking up her dog's medicine, right? So to be able to take care of all of that, again, just, provides that confidence in that patient that she has with us. It just really ensuits that relationship.
Yeah. So, that's definitely the entire spectrum. You touched on the veterinary medication, and I always think that's such a great way to connect with your patients because, I took my cat in this week because I was concerned that she was kind of just didn't seem happy. She was, not getting along with the other. They're so complex. So having that element of your family cared for, I think, is really great if you can get that at the same spot. So how did that come about? And do you have like a specific kind of niche that you focus on in that area? Or tell me a little bit about that.
It came about because so many veterinarians need things compounded, right? So just like if you go to a shoe store, if you only had one size of a shoe, it wouldn't work for you. If we only have one size of a tablet, or just a couple, it's not going to work for every size animal. And when you think of the gamut of sizes for a dog, especially, you might have a 3-pounder or you might have a 100-pound dog. So we really have to be very specific on what we make for them. And so when I opened initially, vets came to me and said, "Can you make this? Can you do this? Can you help with this?" And that was super exciting for me. I'm a dog lover. I have a big, goofy golden retriever at home, and so I'm passionate about animals, and it's been a great little niche market for us. Here in our area, we have veterinarians that specialize in dermatology or ophthalmology, like very, very, very specialized cardiology veterinarians. And they need specialized things and they need it quickly, and they might not want to order it from a pharmacy that's halfway across the country. So it's helpful that they can get it same day here with us. And they know they're getting quality from, an approved and an accredited pharmacy.
Yeah, for sure. So with the compounding in general, you said the veterinarians were reaching out to you. Have you had, any specific outreach to other veterinary offices or, any other practices where you kind of went out to them to find out what their needs are and how you can serve those?
Yes and no. So,
Okay.
well, I am probably the absolute worst salesperson in the entire world. Like, I could not sell you anything. I would be like, "Oh, you don't want it? Okay, bye." Right? It's just not my personality. It's not who I am. It's not what I enjoy doing. And I knew this about myself the day I opened my pharmacy, or before I opened my pharmacy. So the first hire I ever made for my pharmacy was a salesperson. So it wasn't a technician. It wasn't another pharmacist. It was an account manager, sales liaison, whatever the title was we gave. But that's where I knew that I lacked in talent. And also desire. I didn't want to do it. And so that's where I decided to spend my money on my very first hire. And she started about 6 weeks before we ever turned on our open sign for our very first pharmacy 9 years ago.
Yeah, how great. That's really good thinking, because there's a tendency to hire people that are like you. Because I get along with people who are just like me, when a lot of times you really need somebody that complements your skill sets instead of mirrors them. So it's pretty good awareness early on, and probably something that a lot of people just naturally overlook and don't think about.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I have a certain subset of talents, and I want the people that are around me to have very different ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the compounding area, when you're not making specialized medications for the doggos, what are you guys normally doing? Do you guys have kind of a niche that you found in the compounding realm?
I'd say one of our biggest and fairly new within the last 2 years is our ophthalmology. So we are making lots of sterile eye drops. The majority of these are used for pre and post cataract surgery. I've taken 3 ingredients that are, or 3 prescriptions that are typically given separately to patients pre and post cataract surgery, and I've combined them into one eye drop. So with that, it increases compliance and it decreases costs for the patient. So they're not having to pick up 3 separate prescriptions. They're not having to instill 3 separate drops. Oftentimes, these patients are having to do this 4 or 5 times a day and wait 15 minutes between each drop. So me being able to combine them all into one, it's a sterile ophthalmic preparation, really has helped decrease post-operative infection, increase compliance, and again, save the patient some money.
Yeah, that seems like such a perfect fit, where you're combining that great facility that enables you to make those sterile compounds, but then also what a great time saver for the patient and for the prescriber to be able to explain to that prescriber how much easier you're making life for their patients.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we ship these directly to the patient's door. So if they're not local, that's okay.
Mm.
And because they can arrive to the patient in a couple of days. The great thing about pre and post cataract surgery drops, we know when they need them, right? Their surgery scheduled, so we can get them to them in plenty of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Are the directions for those always very similar?
No, every surgeon has their own way that they want patients to do these. So some do 5 ml, some do 8 ml, some do 10 ml, some do 18 mLs. But it all depends on how many times a day they want the patients to use it, and then how long post operatively they want them to use it.
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking that's a great candidate for the RX templates in Pioneer RX, where you can kind of create that whole prescription, get all of those various fields, and then say, this is Dr. Smith's post-surgery template.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what we do. So we will just make the template per the doctor because we know what each doctor wants.
Yeah, big time saver for and consistency improver as well.
Absolutely. And I love how Pioneer, like right there from the main screen, will link my lot number to my sterile compound directly to the patient. So I know exactly what lot they got from looking on the main screen. I'm not going and digging for anything.
Yeah, that was one of the things we did kind of early on, kind of preparing for the DCSCA changes coming down the pipeline, and really makes things easy. DSCSA. I always say that acronym wrong.
I didn't even catch it because I do too.
So I saw that you have another kind of venture with the Dry Eye Charleston. I stumbled upon another website in my online sleuthing for you. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I do own the website Dry Eye Charleston. Who would have ever thought that I would own a website called Dry Eye Charleston? But what else are you going to name it when you're treating dry eyes and you live in Charleston County, right? So
It fits. Yeah.
it does. It does. So this came about. I had lots of ophthalmologists ask if we did what some people call serum tears. It's autologous eye serum. So this is where patients with chronic dry eyes, or maybe someone with a corneal abrasion, could benefit from using their own serum to replace what they're missing. So we do have where you can come here to our pharmacy. Your blood is drawn here. We spin it. Then we take it back to our sterile lab and we make eye drops out of your serum. So we're the only ones in the state that are doing this. There's some national companies where you have to ship your blood and, then they ship it back to you. But we're the only ones that will offer same day service. So we've been able to attract not only physicians that really want to utilize this for their patients, but patients all over South Carolina that are willing to drive here to Charleston, because you got to drive here because I need your blood from you. I can't ship it to you without you coming here first, right? And so they'll drive here. One prescription lasts about 45 days. So every 45 days or so, they're making an appointment with us. We have them ready for them the same day, and then they can take them with them. It's amazing how debilitating dry eyes is for people. Some people, you think, oh, it's dry eyes. What do you mean? But it can be completely debilitating to the point where patients can no longer work. They can no longer drive. They can't enjoy outdoor activities like boating because their eyes are just that painful. And so we've seen great results by using their own serum to help replace those proteins and to combat that.
Wow. Yeah, you sometimes don't even think about what you take for granted, but I've got nice saturated eyes. I'm very lucky. So how does that work? Is that like a cash service, or is that billable? How are you making that work, on the business side?
Yeah, it's not billable, unfortunately. When you talk about billable, I can bill the patient, but of course I keep billing insurance.
Right.
Insurances are going to want an NDC number, and unfortunately your serum doesn't come with an NDC number. So it is a cash service.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, that's interesting. I've never had any experience with battling dry eyes like that. But man, if you are struggling with that, what a great excuse to go spend a day in Charleston while you're waiting on a great solution.
Absolutely. And Will, we have a lot of, we've actually overlaid this with our veterinarian. We have a lot of hunting dogs here in South Carolina. We're big hunting and fishing outdoors people here. And as hunting dogs run through the woods, sometimes they can get corneal abrasions from limbs and trees. And so we will have the vets draw their blood from like a dog, and then we'll spin it, and can even make these for pets, for dogs.
Yeah, that's probably really helpful with that golden retriever you have. I had a golden retriever growing up, and we lived in the country, and that dog would disappear and come back like 2 days later with all kinds of
Oh God.
tales of adventure. So,
Oh, to be a golden retriever.
yeah, I can only wonder. So you guys have also been concentrating on the semaglutide and the GLP-1 craze, I guess, recently. Tell me a little bit about how you've made that kind of work and what struggles you've ran into. Are you able to keep that supply and demand?
Yeah, so we do offer a sublingual semaglutide drop, and then we also offer the injectable. So as long as it continues to be on national manufacturer back order, we view it as a service that we can offer patients, whether they're utilizing it simply for weight loss or if they truly are diabetic and this is something that is a life-saving medication for them. And if they can't get it in the brand name, then it's something that we want to make sure that we're available to offer to them.
Nice. Nice. And are you able to find, patient savings, or is there an advantage to, getting those compounded solutions?
So I do believe that there's some advantages. In addition to it being less expensive than the brand, the brand only comes in pens, which you can dial specific doses, a 2.5, a 5, a 7.5, and so forth. When we compound it, we dispense it in a vial, and so it allows the patient to be able to have more of a customized dose that affects them the best. So they can work with their practitioner and figure out what dose is exactly right to get the results they want and to avoid the side effects that they don't.
Gotcha. Cool. So what else is exciting in the pharmacy? What are you excited about the next big thing? Because definitely sounds like you've been not been afraid to add new services, new locations. What are you excited about today?
Um, Everything about pharmacy excites me. It is truly
Yeah.
my passion. I have to tell you, I love it. I love my profession. I love the people that I'm so honored to work beside every day, whether it's my technicians, my cashiers, or my pharmacists, my assistants that help me put my day together every day. I'm passionate about making a difference in not only my patients' lives, but my employees' lives so that they can then in turn make a big difference in my patients' lives. I love growth, and I'm excited about it all. Like, do I know what the next big thing is? No, I haven't identified that yet. I don't have like my eye on something other than just really looking forward to 2024 with point of sale DRs being there, a little bit more transparency. I'm a big advocate for transparency, especially within our PBMs. I'm looking forward to a little bit more of pharmacists having prescribing rights. So we work towards that every day here in South Carolina, and we push and we push and we push. And having my pharmacist here being able to work at the very top of their license every minute of every day is so important to me. So if I could take 2024 and help with the PPMs, help with provider access, I think that'd be a successful year for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2024 is going to be really interesting. It seems like it's been, so distracting really for pharmacies just to have to fight and focus so much on advocacy for just basics. Like it seems like such a no-brainer and such a draw from, the game that pharmacists could be concentrating on a little bit more. But with HR 5378 passing recently, and with the DIR transparency at point of sale, it seems like 2024 could be kind of starting to right the ship a little bit.
Yeah, if we can make it past, especially smaller pharmacies than me, if they can make it past these next, the first 3 months in the year, if you can get past that first quarter where you're going to feel that double hit from DRs, I think things are looking great. I couldn't be more excited for what the future of independent pharmacy is, and the ability that we have to really affect patients' lives in a positive manner that big box chains like CVS and Walgreens and even Walmart and Publix, those kind of things, they just lack that ability to really make an impact on patients' lives.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the provider status. What are you guys able to do currently in South Carolina? I know that ranges so much state by state.
Not nearly enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Not nearly enough. Vaccines, so a lot of vaccines. So they
Yeah.
do give us a gamut of vaccines that we're able to do. There are a couple that we still can't prescribe, but for the majority of the vaccines, we're able to. So that's great. In 2023, passed for oral contraception. So that has been a big plus for us. It still has a lot of hiccups. The way that our state wrote the protocol isn't necessarily the way that I would have wanted to see it, but it does. It's a step in the right direction. And then naloxone. So really, we're pretty limited in South Carolina, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. Are you having a lot of activity with the naloxone?
Not as much as I'd like to see. Unfortunately, PBMs still aren't covering it to the point where where all patients can afford to get it.
Mm,
And I also think
yeah.
there's still a stigma about having it. I feel like patients are worried that if they pick it up, if they get it, if they have it at their house, then people are going to assume that they're a drug dealer, or they have a drug problem. And so if we could eradicate the stigma around, having naloxone on you at all times. Listen, I have teenagers. There's no reason for me not to carry naloxone. Do I think any of my teenagers are ever going to do anything? No. But is there a reason for me not to have it as a just in case? Absolutely. You hope you don't get a flat tire, but you're certainly going to, carry something in your car to fix it. You're going to have a spare, right? So
Exactly. I mean, you never know. There's once on one of my trips, I just happened across somebody on the street that was uh, overdosing. Turns out, and had that been in my travel, my backpack, my travel pack that I take everywhere, who knows? It could have saved somebody's life. And like you said, you don't plan on having a spare tire, but it's really nice to have it if have that spare tire if you have a flat. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So in 2024, so we're looking at some changes in reimbursement. We're looking at hopefully some changes in provider status. Do you know if there's anything currently in the works? Do you have any legislation coming in the pipeline in 2024, or still a ways to go?
Still a
Okay.
ways to go. So we were excited to get at least the oral contraception piece done in 2023. So 2024, we'll have to kind of wait and see. North Carolina seems to do a little bit of a better job than South Carolina, but if we can make some pushes with our boards of pharmacy and really start working with our board of medicine a little bit more closely, that is really one of the key factors in getting pharmacist provider status is that relationship with the board of medicine and the board of nursing.
Yeah, for sure. So some of the other opportunities that I've seen you advertise on your website, you talk about the Sweet Pack RX. So I think that's definitely something that we've talked about with a few guests on this show, is being able to synchronize those medications and provide that adherence packaging. And again, like you said, it's one of those things the big boxes can't or won't do, even if they've tried. I remember there's so much talk about Amazon and PillPack years ago, and it turned out to be great advertising for product awareness, but they really weren't very good at it. So how have you kind of improved your patients' adherence or supplement delivery? What opportunities have you really found to be successful there?
It's all personalized service. So no two patients are the same. So for every reason that we're successful with it is why Amazon's not successful.
Yeah.
So it really is that relationship of, I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to take care of your husband and probably your daughter or your mother as well. So our Sweet Pack RX program runs great. We do offer all of our patient supplements to be packed in there with it. And I think that that's a big benefit. And one of the things that made me pick which compliance packaging machine I was going to use was the ability to pack any supplement. So my daughter loves to take some supplements. You know how teenagers can be, like they want all these things. So for me to be able to pick her random decisions of what she wants to, what the fad is right now, right?
Yeah.
And in package it, or just my husband who's on one blood pressure medicine and then some supplements to be able to to pack that all together. to, my patients that are on 45 meds, being able to add their supplements to that for a complicated medication regimen. We can't leave out the need for vitamins and supplements in addition to prescription items.
Yeah. So, how are you offering those supplements? Are you kind of looking at the patient's medication regimens and really concentrating on, nutrient depletion? Or are you looking at demographic recommendations? How have you kind of targeted those customers?
Additionally, some of our patients are so savvy. So additionally, we let them tell us, like, hey, what are you currently on? If they're new to our program, we'll say, like, what are you currently taking? What works for you? And then we can tweak that to benefit them. Maybe they're not taking it at the optimum time of the day, or maybe they're not taking a high quality supplement. And so we can utilize our clinical abilities to help with that. After that, it's all based on nutrient depletion. So drug-induced nutrient depletion and our recommendations. We work closely with a lot of their physicians, so we see their lab work and can make recommendations based on labs, but then also, just based on their medication regimen, or maybe it's a side effect or a symptom that they're experiencing that we can help with.
Nice. So when it comes to the business side of those supplements, have you found that to be as rewarding as well? Have you found creative solutions for sourcing those or saving money on, retail packaging by buying in bulk, or how have you kind of approached sourcing those?
Sure. We do have our own line of supplements. So we have our Sweetgrass Pharmacy vitamins that we source. And so we do try to drive our patients into those just because they're accessible. They're not going on back order, that kind of thing, where we experience with some of our wholesaler supplements. It might be here one month and not the next.
Sure.
And so really just making sure that we're getting high quality, a high line of supplements for that. And then we let the patient to cash pay for the supplements. So we add them to their pack for a small fee, and make any adjustments that they need for the next month.
Nice. And so you said that you do have your own line. You've white labeled those. Tell me a little bit about that process.
So we've used a couple of different companies in the past. But the one that we found and kind of stuck with was Reliance Vitamins. They're consistent and quality, and they've got good turnaround times, and the price point is such that we can that it's affordable for our patients and also gives us an opportunity to make a profit with them.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely key. You want to do what's best for your patients, and I mean, I've seen so many pharmacies that are doing the free vitamin programs, and, at the end of the day, though, you also want to make sure that it's healthy for your business as well. So it's great to find that middle, that meeting ground.
It's definitely a balance, Will.
Okay, so are you doing the packing at both locations, or have you been able to leverage one machine and kind of share that technology?
Yeah, so we do centralize our packing. So all of our packing is done out of our Carolina Park store. And the majority of our patients utilize our free delivery service for that. So they don't really notice the difference which store it comes out of.
Nice. I saw too that you guys had the customized packaging for those on the website that are nice and labeled, and it looks like they're printed with the Sweetgrass branding. Can you kind of share that marketing strategy?
Are you talking about like our boxes that our sweet packs go in? Yeah. So we say here everything is Sweetgrass-ified, like from, if it's a baseball cap to our cars that we drive to our scrubs to everything that's around is all Sweetgrass-ified. So we love some, my technicians call it merch, like give me some more Sweetgrass merch. So our box is just one of, I guess, that. So we did right from the very beginning when we rolled out our Sweet Pack program, that was one thing that was important to me, was that the box really stood out and people knew what it was. I felt like one, it was branding, but then two, it gave an opportunity for, if you're in an independent living facility and you're using my service, when you have one of your friends over for tea or coffee, they can see this really good looking box on the counter and ask a question about it. And then to find out that that's how your medication's packed and it's in this really good looking box. So, and it's really worked for us. We haven't changed. We've been doing it for 5.5 years and we haven't changed the box a single time.
Nice. are you able to source those locally, or who helps you with that marketing material?
So the actual box itself, we did opt to source it locally, only because of shipping costs. So the boxes are heavy. You have to buy a bunch at a time. And shipping is, especially during COVID, shipping prices rose so much that we did have to move from one supplier to another, just strictly based on shipping. And it's also nice to support a local printing company too, so that supports us. So and as far as the graphics go, we utilized the company to, or no, actually, take that back. We actually had an outside graphic artist create it for us, because I did want something a little bit more special than what the printers were offering.
Yeah. So, it's one of the neat things. I was actually talking with our producer before this podcast about how social media has really changed marketing and branding, and how a lot of times the brand is such an important aspect of the company, sometimes more important than the product, depending on what the product is, especially online. But, it is such an important part of the experience today, where I think even 20 years ago, it just wasn't near as important. But the Sweetgrass company kind of image has definitely been defined online and in the store. So kudos there. I do like the kind of feel and presence of the company.
I told my social media director when I hired her, I said, listen, what I want out of this is I want everybody who just follows me on social media that's never been to my pharmacy to think that this place is huge, like to think that I have 100 locations and that I'm 70,000 square feet, and it's, so, and she laughed and she was like, okay, I guess I can make that happen. I was like, no, I'm serious. Like, if you're only going to follow me on social media, you should think that I am like Sweetgrass is like, it's a small Disney World.
Yeah. Bigger than life.
Exactly. So that's what we aim for.
It's funny too with the merch. My daughter is, in orthodontics right now. She's kind of going through. She's halfway through the process of getting ready for braces. So we started here in Shreveport at an orthodontist, and Orthodontia has that merch game on lock. They have figured it out because here in town, everybody has like the magnets on their cars, and she went in and she was so excited to get a T-shirt for the new orthodontist, and so she has a hoodie for the first orthodontist, and the magnets and chapstick and lanyard, and the new orthodontist, they have like the Stanley lookalikes with their logo, and man, I don't know, the merch is strong with some of these.
Absolutely. And if your daughter's anything like mine are, they have a million water bottles. Water bottles are so important to that age group.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, the $40 water bottle that is crucially important this month is like, in a couple months, it's like no one's using Gatorade bottles anymore. It's all Stanley bottles now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Listen. I don't know where they get it.
Yeah, I don't know either. Those and the Starbucks cups. I don't know anybody with one. I know people with 0, and I know people with 17.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. It's an important part of my day. If I can't find the water bottle that I want.
Yeah. So do you guys have a lot of the Sweetgrass merchandise, hats and shirts and things like that?
Hoodies, you name it. We have koozies. My favorite koozie is one that says, I love my drug dealer. And at the bottom, it says, I need a refill. So you name it, we got it. So
That's fun. Yeah. If you could find merchandise that hits that mark between like quality product that somebody wants to use, and cute, man, that's it's better than filling prescriptions.
yeah, it's fun. Oh my gosh. And even people will come in and they'll be like, oh, I love the t-shirts that you guys had, or, oh, a hoodie, like it's cold here today. So a couple of my employees came in with some Sweetgrass hoodies on. They're good looking hoodies. And so I've had some patients be like, can I get a Sweetgrass hoodie? I'm like, those are really only for employees, but let me see what I can do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what great advertising. But if you do have a local, a locally branded pharmacy that really works authentically. Like I've got a pharmacy for Table Rock Pharmacy that's a very locally branded pharmacy that I wear all the time. It's a cool shirt. Yeah, so that definitely can be a great opportunity. That I don't know. I think again, go to your local orthodontist if you don't think it'll work, because trust me, they are making it work.
Something's working, right? Because it's not just in Shreveport that it's working. It's everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know of any other office that's making it work like an orthodontist. So pharmacists need to get on that one.
I know, but you'd think that we'd be better at it. How much fun is it to poke fun at drugs and take a chill pill?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just yeah, it's an endless bank of opportunity.
Exactly.
So you guys have been having a lot of fun on social media, and I'm going to go ahead and state my piece on the matter. Pineapple does belong on pizza. So there is a food pairing hypothesis that says that foods that are very similar go well together. So, chocolate and caramel go well together. Those are similar sweet flavors, right? But in many cultures, you're going to find that contrasting flavors go together very well. So like Vietnamese food where you have like fish oil and peanuts and lemongrass with pork, all very different flavors, but they work. So pineapple does belong on pizza.
Will's referring to the fact that anytime I have a new employee on social media, they get asked like their name and like something fun about themselves, but everybody has to answer one question. And that question is, do you like pineapple on your pizza?
Which I thought was a really fun way to, it's a fun argument to have because some people feel very strongly about the matter.
Very. Like one of my girls was like, it's an actual crime. It is an actual crime. I thought that was great.
So yeah, also really fun that on your social media you embrace kind of your whole team and not just the figurehead of the pharmacy, but really your patients walk in and they're going to recognize the whole team. It seems like from some of those various videos, and so I really like that you guys have the on TikTok some of the OTC recommendations, but also OTC things we don't recommend. So tell me a little bit about that, because I think that's an interesting approach I haven't seen.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to say, some people are like, so you're saying you don't recommend them, yet you sell them. I'm like, well, we still have to make money. Like, just because I don't recommend them doesn't mean I'm not willing to make money on them if you want to buy them. So, no, everybody's got an opinion on OTCs. And, it was one of my favorite classes in pharmacy school is the OTC class, because it's such a wide gamut. And there's so many things that that people think that are completely like not right. Like even things that my mother told me as a child, not right, bad idea, mom. So yeah, we like to poke fun at, what we do and what we don't recommend. And it's actually been funny because some of my pharmacists will recommend one thing and I was like, that would have been my choice. Not that it's wrong, just not my choice.
Yeah. And definitely, some of the misconceptions about what, when to recommend that item versus, when something else would work better. So I thought that was really fun. I like those. So on the retail side of your pharmacy, tell me a little bit more about some of those offerings for your patients. I know you guys are doing the open enrollment consults. How else are you engaging your pharmacy patients outside of prescriptions?
Oh, great question. So our sync program is something that we're very passionate about. And so if if you've got, if you're a busy person and you don't want to come to the drugstore every day, then we try to get you enrolled in that. The other big push that we had in 2022 is dermatology. So really engaging in patients for dermatological products, and trying to keep all of that business local. I had so many friends that would go to the dermatologist and they would say, my dermatologist pharmacist said I had to get this prescription from this mail order. And I'm like, well, I have it at my pharmacy. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean you have to get it for mail order? And so really honing in on what does that look like to be like a dermatology hub? And how do those other mail order places, how do they get that designation? How do they get the dermatologists to be willing to send it out of state when I'm literally next door? And so really engaging with my patients to say, listen, if you're at the doctor's office and they tell you they're going to send it to another pharmacy or they have to send it to another pharmacy, ask questions why. And then in addition to that, just having my sales team out at the dermatology offices saying, like, we're local, our patients are already using us. Let's keep all their prescriptions in one spot so that we can look for drug-drug interactions, so that we can help them navigate their medication regimen instead of having, their derm products in one place and everything else somewhere else.
Yeah, what a great way to, capitalize on that initial prescription opportunity, but then and go to that prescriber and say, hey, we can do this. What else could we do for you? What a great way to kind of harness that opportunity. So do you have any OTC recommendations for, let's say, like a 40-year-old podcaster who's wanting to keep his skin and peak physical condition?
Oh, goodness. A 40-year-old podcaster for an OTC recommendation.
Or prescription recommendation.
Oh, I'm a big fan of tretinoin. So anybody over the age of 35 should be using tretinoin every day. It is a prescription, but I'm a big fan of it.
Okay. I'm gonna get that. Do you mail out?
Of course.
Do you mail out of state? Okay.
Only to the states I'm licensed in. I'm 75. Don't I look great for 75? Tretinoin.
I wouldn't have said a day over 74.
See, exactly.
Yeah, no. So, that is interesting as, get older, I'm starting to worry about different things. So, yeah, again, being able to meet that need, that additional need for your patients. How great if I can get, my dog's medication, grandma's adherence packaging, and my skincare at the same stop.
Exactly. And pick up a gift while you're here.
Yeah, of course. So we've kind of talked about all kinds of different things going on in the pharmacy. If you weren't in the pharmacy every day, or are you still in the pharmacy, like working the bench every day, or are you in the back office?
Well, the office is upstairs. We're a 2-story pharmacy, so I'm upstairs. So my office is upstairs. I spend probably less than 2 hours a day on the bench. So I have six pharmacists currently.
Wow.
So I'm not on the bench. I still enjoy being on the bench? I came in this morning and there were some compliance packages that hadn't been checked last night. And so it was kind of the first thing I did. It was just a good way to kind of get my day started. So it's not that I'm not on the bench, but I do spend the majority of my time out in the community, or collaborating with other pharmacy owners. I love to visit other pharmacies. So I do take the time to do that, since I do have pharmacists that can work the bench for me. Or I, am in my office doing, some sort of, PCAB accreditation or, employee surveys, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. It's always interesting to hear, the mix there, because, you can't constantly work in your pharmacy. You need to work on your pharmacy and be out in the community. But you also, want to make sure that you keep that organic connection to the day-to-day activities there.
Oh, yeah. What's funny, so I'll have patients that have been with me since the day I opened, and like we call them the OGs, and it was a couple of Saturdays ago, I picked up a shift for one of my pharmacists that was on vacation, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll cover it. It's no big deal. And you wouldn't believe how many of my patients happened to come in that day, and they were like, oh, you're here? What are you doing? I didn't know. I was like, are you kidding? Of course I still work. They were like, we just sit. I was like, come on now. So it was really nice to reconnect with them, and it just made my day. It's, it's fun. I love my profession. I love what I do. So I don't mind picking up a shift like that so that I can reconnect with my patients.
Yeah, still Jenny from the block.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've kept you here long enough. I know you probably got a ton of things going on at multiple locations. So thank you so much for joining me. And I hope I get to touch base with you again this year. Maybe I'll see you out on the road. I know you're pretty busy, but you still make it out for trade shows and things like that?
All the time. I love them.
Awesome. Yeah. What's the big one you're excited about this year?
I think the NCPA multi-store owner. So definitely that one. I love Pioneer X, of course, in Nashville. So I'm gonna got my boots picked out already. So
Excellent.
ABC's in Florida this year. So AmerisourceBergen's in Florida. So we'll see.
Good deal. Well, I'll definitely see you out at the Pioneer RX Catalyst Connect show this year, and hopefully some of those others too. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Will. Have a great day.
All right. Tell everybody I said hi, and hopefully you guys get some pineapple on pizza today.
All right. Maybe I'll go and place the order now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond the Scripts, presented by the Catalyst Pharmacy podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please support our channel by liking, subscribing, and clicking the notification bell so that you'll be notified anytime we post new content. To stay up to date with all of the latest independent pharmacy news and content, follow Pioneer RX on your preferred social media platform.